But I wanted to do a color study this morning just for myself, because I'm working on a new painting for myself and in the background as I work on other stuff, and it's with an olive green. Let me show you this kind of this colored base. So I figured we'll do the wash right now. I'll have you come over here so you can do it with me. Um, I'm changing how I'm doing this. I have this little like phone tripod thing just because I think it might be a little easier to see some stuff. I can always move us over, but I don't want it to be too wet. I just want to get it a little bit wet. This is paper from Case for Making. I've kept it in my toolbox for a little bit, bringing it back and forth from school. And so it's a little dirty, but that's okay. We're going to cover it up. So this is pretty wet. I'm actually going to move you to the larger type tripod. I think it'll be easier to see. There's an immediate bust doing it on this one. Oops. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry, my dudes. This is the one I was using. It's from Moft. I kind of like it. It makes my phone really heavy. I don't know if anyone else uses it. I don't love that part. Well, and even part here. And I think, yeah. Cool. So, sorry for all the movement, but this is wet. It's not like dripping with paint. I'm going to try to get that green color, this same green color on here. The blue's pretty intense. And it's so much smaller. I don't need. Yeah, I like it too, Jen. Definitely helpful to have something compact that I can keep with me at all times. But man, if I'm using today I'm wearing a skirt, because I'm super bloated and it's really comfortable. And I can't have that on my phone because I can't, it weighs my skirt down when I put it in my pocket, which is one of my pet peeves. It's really a personal issue. That's too electric green. I want this brown to mute it a little bit. I'm also going to get a little bit of this water off of this brush. I don't need extra water. And then while that's drying, we'll work on something else. Yeah, I love this pukey color. I need to use this. How's everyone doing today? It's Wednesday, middle of the week. I think I'm good. No complaints. Really? Nothing too crazy. These are Dr. P.H. Martin's radiant concentrated watercolors. I was just talking to the color class that I teach last night about them. I like them a lot because they're super concentrated, just like the name says. So then I don't have to mix up a ton of premixture for watercolors when I'm doing a base layer. It feels like it gets vibrant quickly and I don't have to do a ton of work to get it there, which sometimes with pan watercolors, it does feel like I have to work pretty hard to make those premixtures. Let's see. Okay. So it's not exactly that color, but it's pretty freaking close. Does it lift? When I paint on top of it, I usually paint on top either with gouache or with acrylic gouache, and the first layers always get a little bit of that color in it. So, like, if I was doing a thin layer of white, the colors will kind of, you know, start to affect the top layers, but, um, in general, it's not too bad. We'll look at some examples of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna set this aside. Our tiny, tiny little painting. Um, but I kinda like that too. Um, was that Jennifer? Jen? Yeah, I kinda like that it lifts a little bit because I'm I'm sorry, I'm trying to get you guys centered. I the reason I'm painting the whole surface a certain color is I like for it to be kind of like a unifying thing. Um, I like when it shows through, whether through dry brushing or through like that reactivation or through transparent layers. So those moments are moments that I really like. Let's see if we can get a little more light in here. It's a little dark. It's super foggy today. This up this way. But this is a painting I'm working on for Alexa, who is someone who I have taught classes to and is a friend, is got a mystery painting. And I worked through some of the studies with you all before. And before, I was just thinking about the centerpiece as the piece. Aha! Alexa, you get to be here for this. But I really didn't like how only having it be this piece made it so that some of the fun narratives that Alexa was interested in incorporating felt like I had to kind of squish them into a composition that I liked already. So I'm framing it with almost like excerpts from um, this journey that she's on with her friends on their bikes. Her friends are going to be back here. And then her two little cats are going to be here. And then you'll kind of have like more of a narrative um, around the border, which I think will be really fun. And I'm really excited about. And I really like the pink in the background. Initially, I think the one I did before, let's see, wrapped. So this is one I have like half finished. And I like parts of it. Like I like the cats that I did. But I don't like kind of this green as the background. It felt really flat. And as I was adding paint, it just wasn't having the same sense of kind of like vibrancy that this does, and that this will have. So this is one of the harder parts of making custom work for people is that I often make the pieces several times because working through kind of those things is part of what makes it valuable to me. And then also, I want to make sure that I'm making something that feels exciting for them. So this just, I knew that I had reached a dead end with this because I was kind of painting myself into problems. So that'll become something else later. But I really wanted the pink in the background. I had worked through two pieces using the pink to just see how it feels and works with greens. And I think I landed at a good spot. And then also for Alexa, Alexa has like really fun like pink hair currently, pink or lavender. I think it's like pink currently, but and so then I was thinking like the pink coming through feels very much tied to you as well, Alexa. So um yeah, like as I build some of these like more translucent moments will go away, but they'll peek through. Like, I like the pink. It's a little subtle, but, I know you do, Alexa. It's a little subtle, but you can see kind of the pink coming through what is her sweatshirt. The pink's coming through the orange, and one of the fun things about working in this way is that the pink actually changes the colors as they're laid on top. So A lot of the colors I'm using are gonna be from this swatch sheet, which I used for the other paintings. But when I layer them on top of the pink, they shift a lot, um, and which I find really fun. It definitely leaves room for a lot of surprises color-wise. But anyway, so this is something I'm working on. I figured we'd do a little painting while we wait for the little green paper to dry, and then this is, because I know people will ask, the little tiny papers that I used for the green. Um, I really like these. They're like cold press and torn. Sorry, I burped. Um, let's see, they're 4 by 6, 140 pound, and you get 20 sheets. And I've had these for a while, but I have started to use them for studies for paintings. Anyway, let's see. So I'm going to bring you down closer, and we are going to work in the patterns on the pants. Dun dun dun. I have to I have to keep every time I do this, I remember I need to get a screwdriver to tighten the bolt that's on here because it's really loose and wobbly. So I apologize. We're gonna work on the patterns in the pants. I kind of want to do in that larger one I showed you. I had like a really fun kind of like tiger pattern, and I wanted to do that. Um, and I want to use a little tape. It does make it easier. And if you're at home and watching this, it does look better on a desktop computer because you can see the whole thing. So if you have the option of using your desktop, highly recommend. If you don't have the option, I fully understand. A recording of this will be available later, so you can revisit. I try to center everything so it's available vertically, but it doesn't always work out. All right, so I don't always use a tape. In fact, that's not something I normally do, but it is helpful when we're going to do kind of like a pattern right now. So I'm going to take some stuff off. And this is just some shitty old washi tape. You can get it anywhere. Dave and I watched 28 Days Later the other day. Dave had never seen it before. He was shocked at how, oh shoot, that's too small. He was shocked at how, like, the late 90s, early 2000s it was. When we always like to kind of, like, look up all of the things as we're watching something and understand the time period it's in, all that stuff, and so when I was asking him before we started it, I asked him, like, "What year do you think this came out?" And he said, "2011." And I was like, "Wrong, 2002." And it feels very 2002. The music feels like it's Modest Mouse, question mark. I think I want that side to come down a little bit. And then, it's Killian what's his face from, Oppenheimer. There's just all these moments of being, like, blown away by who's in it. It was great. It was so fun. And it's a zombie movie, but it's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel too gory. Maybe I'm not the right person to ask. Oh, see, that does pull up some paint, but that's okay. We'll do I guess I don't care if it touches those things. Center part right here. Well, I'll be painting that over, so I guess it's just really that. Okay, forget it. We'll leave that. I can paint those parts over. Okay. We're gonna do You need a little brush. Some color. I almost want it to be just a darker orange. I'm gonna use, yeah, come on. Let's see what it feels not right. There we go. Let's get it. Mm-mm-mm. I think the hardest part when you're doing like a pattern for clothing is just remembering that this doesn't matter. Like, this is just a moment for play, and that we don't necessarily pay attention to it later because this is all going to be developed and kind of like its own thing. It's really easy to get like precious about it. Mm-mm-mm. 2002 was not that long ago, but the movies from then feel so dated. So true, Emily. The like music was like very much um of a time. It was great, which and then also it had this feeling which I had forgotten that it was like this, where it felt like there are moments where it feels like it's from someone's camcorder. You can I need to look it up, but I meant to look it up when we were watching. I think I just got distracted. But it does feel like it's made on film, which I love. I love that feeling of film rather than like digital cameras. It has like a softness to it. And so we're just kind of letting the texture of the paper do a lot of the work. I don't want it to be black. I'm trying not to use like black necessarily. This looks like black maybe on the screen, but it's maybe like more of a purple because of the way the pink is showing through. Mm. All right. Also, this pink is like the underneath color. I painted like a orangey kind of like apricot over the pink, and so it turned it into this like really beautiful kind of what would I call it? Like a sherbet, like rainbow sherbet color, which also makes me think of you, Alexa. Mm-mm-mm. Is anyone working on anything fun? And then, because I know I'm gonna paint like these hands and the cats and the basket and stuff, I don't necessarily have to be super concerned about the edges of the pattern, as we'll cover it up. And I'm using more of the side of the brush This is a 0 from Simply Simmons. If I was using, like, the tip of the brush, it would make more of a line. I don't want that. I had to mix up more of that color. Working on a drawing for a painting. Excellent. I love that, Shelley. Okay. We're pretty close. We're gonna let it dry all the way before removing the tape. Would wear this outfit. That's when I know it's, something I always paint things that I wanna wear, and that I think, they'll wanna wear. How I deal with wanting to buy everything all the time. Ta-da. Good, I like that. I'm glad you'd wear them. Let's see. Alright. So, I also want to paint that, but I don't remember. I kinda wanna make sure I'm incorporating. Let's see if I can show you. This is a painting I did as for myself, but also as a means of kind of studying some of the color interactions. And we already have, like, a lot of green, in here, so it's already kind of satisfying these green moments, although I do love this green, and I'm gonna try and make that again. But I wanna make sure that I'm hitting some of these other color components, so, like, lavender and maybe this, like, gold green. So I'm gonna make sure and incorporate those. And then the periwinkle, that's what her helmet's gonna be. I think it's a little more blue in real life, but I'm gonna have it be kind of this, like, periwinkle blue, for her helmet. So maybe I'll have this be more of, like, a light lavender, and it's like a camping bike trip, so, you know, there's certain things that we know about how, like, a backpack will work, so there'll be some, like, backpack straps, which I'll paint, and then this is gonna be the Daria sweatshirt, which I know Alexa loves to wear, and in those moments where I know I'm pulling from something that exists, one of the conversations that's tough for me is, like, how do I make it the Daria logo, but also, kind of feel like it fits within the space, and it might be that the colors are a little bit shifted, so those are things that I'm thinking about, but let's add a little bit of purple, and then maybe, make the bike basket in, like, a this gold color. What up, Stace? How you doing? I see you. Let's mix up a purple. We can do it together. This is a Stay Wet palette. I pretty much like the small ones because it gives me more room on my desk, but I probably should have a big one. Um, but I don't. I don't know what to tell you. I do mix up a lot of color on this. I'll show you on this ceramic palette that is just fully destroyed, but um, that's all right. Okay. That's maybe too blue. There's a lot more pink in there. And I'm using a little extra water to thin it out so that the pink beneath will show through. Right. And I'm gonna mix up. I need a bigger brush. I think I was like battling that brush a little bit. So I'm using like a lot of water for the first layers. Again, I paint the background all this pink color because I want the pink to show through everywhere. And so I'm kind of treating the first layers like they're, translucent watercolor layers so that I can see that pink come through. And then as I build the colors, um, make it progressively darker. And I do for Alexa's hair want that to kind of like keep that pink for now. And then I'll probably add like some translucent lighter layers over the top so that the pink kind of can do its thing. But we're making the backpack blue. Mm-mm. I was telling my color class this last night because they were asking a lot of questions about my paintings, which is I'm using cold press paper, and I always come back to cold press paper because I really like the texture. The texture becomes really important to me. Um, and also working in thin layers allows me to kind of like spend more time with that texture. If I build too quickly with acrylic gouache, then I can't necessarily feel the texture anymore. So that was the other thing with the previous version that I was doing with this painting is that it felt too thick and I couldn't feel the paper texture. I might have to like shift this eventually, but maybe have it be like that. But that's okay. It does look thicker on the left, so let's make it a little thicker on the right. Coffee break. All right. Now let's mix up a gold. I think I used burnt umber and this gold yellow. And that's what I want. And there's a little bit of black underneath here, so it's like mixing in. I think that's the color we want for the basket. And I don't think, Alexa, this looks like your actual basket, but we know the truth. This is your cat basket. Okay. And so the challenge when I start with everything really thin is that everything starts to feel kind of like it's on the same level because there's not a ton of contrast. So that's why I kind of like building up certain areas is important. But we'll leave this thin for now. And then I think I'll probably go in and add like a border up at the top to make it seem like it's kind of that woven top of a basket. And then I'll paint the cats. This is like the handlebar. That's the other thing I want to do before I paint the cats is the handlebars, which are always funky. And then this is the tire. So we can do some of that together. It really like changes. And the trick here is I want to make sure I include handlebar tape. So we'll kind of stop this. Maybe right around there. Dun, dun, dun. And for the tires, do like a darker version of this green. I want it to be. Yeah. Cool. And then that little part here will get fixed as I work on this part later. Maybe we'll use that for this part too. The seat. Okay. So I'm going to bring you guys down to this little bottom corner because I want to work on this piece. When I have people do mystery paintings, they fill out a questionnaire and then incorporate. I try to incorporate all of the different things that they talk about as being important or part of the narrative. And Alexa knows me and knows things I like to draw, but also um, I feel like we have a similar sense of things that we love. So I incorporated a quilt. Alexa does textile art that two people are sitting on and eating donuts. And donuts was one of the things that she wanted included. So it will be. So we're going to paint the quilt first because it's kind of underneath everything. And then we'll be able to kind of correct everything on top. Or the quilt colors. I want to do that goldish green again for kind of these squares. And then we'll do kind of in an alternating pattern. So we'll have one up here. We'll do one here. And then we'll do like a butter yellow color for the other ones. And then I have them as my friend Sadie just came up with a new quilt pattern that incorporates these little houses, which are a traditional quilting pattern. And I thought it would be fun to incorporate houses since this is about home, what is home, new homes. And there will be some like bikes and flowers here, but I'll add those last so they can overlap the quilt rather than me painting around them. And when I paint thinly, I can still kind of see the pencil marks, so it's usually fine. Okay. Now I'm gonna mix up some of that kind of buttery yellow that I was talking about. I might need to put it. Okay. See what that looks like. I think we need that for the contrast. I think all right. I really like that yellow. That looks good. The trick is to have like everything feel like it's from the same world, even in these tiny little border ones. So making sure that we're pulling from the same kind of color palette. They don't have to be identical, but see, it just makes everything feel cohesive. And I think I have a meeting at 10, so I probably can't go for much longer, but I want to talk you through. I was going to do that little green study, so maybe we'll do that another time. It's still not dry, otherwise we would do it right now. Or we'd be working on it now. um, So I'm gonna have this be Alexa, so this will be the same pattern as here, extended over here, maybe a different shade because we have kind of like the legs overlapping. She's sitting cross-legged, and then in this green, I'm gonna have like little tiny, those little tiny like weed flowers or white flowers that you find when you sit like in a field. There'll be a bunch of donuts here. There's gonna be a bike here. I'm gonna paint I'm gonna choose 3 colors for the houses and then just kind of alternate them like they would be alternated on a quilt. Um, and then this is gonna be another person that's kind of, like, reaching over, and maybe there'll be, like, a water bottle or something over here to just make it seem like it's a little cropped-in view of a picnic, that they're taking during the bike ride or camping trip. Um And then I have, like, a bunch of like, basically just little vignettes throughout. Some are close up like this, some are more zoomed out, some are just of kind of like nature shots, and then others have, like, some funny, um, narrative bits to it that are for Alexa, but, yeah, hopefully that was fun. Let me turn you around. Hello. I'll move you back. I love you right in my face, but I also don't. So, but yeah, I hope this was fun. I'm gonna do, I try to do more of these. If I'm honest, the month of May was a full blown shit show for me as far as getting things done. So, with the end of the semester, finals, family staying with us, just a lot. The end of a couple of projects. So, I had plans, they were gone. It's June now, unbelievably, and I do plan on doing more live streams. So if there are things that you want me to talk about as I'm painting, or you just maybe have questions about stuff, let me know, and we can talk about them. These feel approachable for me. I love painting and talking to you guys, and hopefully you enjoy watching them. Um, and until next time, I hope you're doing good. Get some rest, drink some water. If you're feeling bloated, wear some loose fitting clothes and ask yourself what you need to do to make the thing you're working on a little more fun, because that always makes it easier to show up. I'm glad you liked it, Alexa. This one's for you. All right. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, my dudes.